Jake, how are you doing? He's only got one eye.
Are you all right, mate? How are you doing? You good?
Inflatable filth. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you? You having a nice Saturday?
Yeah, not too bad. The office was freezing when I got in, so warming it up now. Yeah, got the heating on. Lovely.
You shouldn't
lovely
be northern,
weekend.
should you?
Oh.
Shouldn't be northern. Dirty. Right, shall we crack on with some news?
What a terrible intro.
There appears to be legitimate heat between Inner Circle and Pinnacle members in AEW. A top star has been banned from SmackDown, and Chris Jericho has shot Pow Pow on WWE Creative. We'll tell you more in a bit. Kicking things off with some news regarding backstage heat between members of two of AEW's top factions, Pinnacle and Inner Circle. Speaking to WrestleTalk.com, Shawn Spears suggested that maybe some of those boys might not get along. What did he say, Sam?
The general gist of what he said was, if they ask you to cut this, then go ahead and cut it. But sometimes in wrestling, you're going to meet guys and work with guys that you just don't get along with no matter what. You don't see eye to eye. Professionalism takes precedence, but sometimes guys don't like each other. I'm not going to name any names, and I'm not going to say anything more than other than there are guys in this match on May 5th that legitimately don't like each other.
Whoa! Goodness me, it's going to be a real fight, Sam. Who do you think it is?
I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to speculate.
No. I get the impression that MJF and Jericho are best buddies IRL.
Yeah.
They love each other, so I don't think it's them. Shawn Spears is so inoffensive and bland that he couldn't possibly rub anyone up the wrong way, right? I'm surprised he's even said this. We don't know who it is. I've got a feeling that he might be working us a little bit here.
Yeah,
I think that this is all about hyping that match on May 5th.
Just a tiny, tiny bit, yeah. It makes sense. It's the first ever Blood and Guts match. It's a big event. They want to make a very big deal of it. And, you should really be doing this sort of stuff if you are working for the company.
And you know what? It's piqued my curiosity as well. It's worked. All of the guys in the match are proper pros. They're not going to take liberties with one another or anything like that. But it's reminded me that the match is happening. And yeah, it's like, I guess anything could
You're going to be sat there watching every strike and analysing it. Oh, he went in a bit hard on that one.
That was a potato, that one. Anyway, I will be live streaming that one. So do tune in to live reactions on the channel. Moving forward, speaking of Chris Jericho, he's been taking shots at WWE and their creative process, hasn't he, Sam?
Yeah, so he appeared on Busted Open Radio, and he revealed that there have been some backstage changes in the creative process at AEW as a whole. So, again, I've sort of just taken the cliff notes of what he said, the most important stuff. But we have a production meeting now before the show that really wasn't happening a lot. We don't want to have a beatdown with, a coffee cup in segment 2, and then have a beatdown with a coffee cup in segment 3, because nobody coordinated with anybody else. Just stuff like that. And then he went on to say about the fact that he was happy that AEW has a strong ability to make stars, he feels. And he said, our goal from the start was to make new stars because that's what wrestling's all about. We've made Darby Allin into a legit main event draw. It's not hard to do. Just pick the right guy and stick with them. He went on to say that, he feels that, Darby versus Sting is a bigger draw than Darby versus Jericho because a fan came up to him and asked him about that fairly recently, and he was like, well, it just makes more sense. And it actually makes sense to him that Sting is now, not really a lackey, but he's Darby's second at this point. He feels that's the right place for him to be in, and I agree with that. Mm-hmm. He says that we're building these new guys and girls because it can't just be Jericho versus Cody versus Kenny over and over again, and nor would we want it to be. And when you see the ratings we're getting because of it, oh my god, it's working.
He didn't say oh my god, he said oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, it's working. Sorry,
gosh.
I misquoted you there, Mr. Jericho. When Vince goes to the investors during the conference call and says the Raw ratings are down because we haven't created any new stars, that's completely on you guys.
And that's the big shot, isn't it? That's the big shot, really. The ratings, and he's totally spot on. There are people that I think WWE have built well and certainly taken time. I think Roman Reigns feels like perhaps the biggest star in pro wrestling right now.
Well, that's
full
it.
stop. But then there are others who just they completely drop the ball with, and sometimes multiple times.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he goes on to address it as well, and it's interesting to think about it now, considering AEW took off so quickly. But if you do think back, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, the Young Bucks, they weren't really household names, but now they kind of are. So
they're getting there, and you know, I mean, certainly they were some of the most known indie stars, if you want, non-WWE guys. But they are breaking through slowly but surely into the mainstream. I mean, the toys are in Walmart. They're getting big celebrity names involved as well. All of those things are going to help have the sort of the less hardcore fans. It'll grab their attention. And they will become more familiar.
The one thing he does go on to mention as well, he says that, you know, we're going to continue doing that and building people and building people and building people. So you've got, you know, 10, and then the next week after there'll be 11, then 12, then 13, then onwards. There'll just be more and more people that can feasibly be put into the main event. And I do agree with that, but I still feel like you do need like a structured sort of mid-card and lower card to go along with that as part of that whole thing. You can't, I think, because if everybody's a main eventer, then it kind of loses that sheen. I feel.
There's a lot more sort of bouncing around in AEW, isn't there? Where people do get the main event when the previous few weeks they might have been down there on the card. But it means that it does give a chance to highlight everybody. But I also see your point about, then maybe everybody feels less special.
I mean, they're always going to have new talent coming through, though, I guess, because that's something AEW is doing as well. So they're always going to have, you know, a ready supply of people they can put into the mid-card before pushing them up. So I guess if they're going with that sort of conveyor belt model of it, then they'll always have that mid and lower card.
Moving on, talking of top stars, the man that I just mentioned a moment ago, Roman Reigns has had a bit of a change to his entrance. He's got new entrance music. I really like it. I've seen everybody slagging it off on Twitter.
What?
I saw a lot of tweets. I don't know what the general consensus is.
It's not the Shield music.
Well, I like the Shield music, but and you know what? I actually think that that worked for him as well as a singles guy. But this stuff is so much more sort of relevant to his on-screen character.
Look, it's more threatening, and yes, it's the last semblance of the Shield that's been removed from television. The last thing, you know, that was kind of a reminder, but it's sort of, I feel like we've been long overdue this, and it's obviously been in the pipeline for some time, because Roman was talking months back about working out his entrance and waiting for the right moment for it to drop, and I think this was a great moment for it to happen. You know, Bryan's waiting for him in the ring, and then all new entrants. It kind of reminds me of Goldust's theme a little bit, but
that's what they go for.
Yeah, but
I want to see some of that from Roman.
But
the artist formerly known as Roman Reigns next week. Mask.
I don't know why anybody would have legitimate beef with it. I guess
I like it. I think it makes him feel more of a star. I agree. Again, speaking of Roman Reigns, he was responsible for a very dastardly act yesterday. He said he was going to do it, and he did exactly that. Daniel Bryan has been banned from SmackDown after losing a career versus title match on the Blue Brand last night. It was a fantastic match. They went over 30 minutes, but Roman managing to retain via the guillotine. What happened after the matter, Sam?
So, post-bell, Roman went and got 2 chairs, and he was about to use them, but he was cut off by Cesaro, who made a save, but then Jay got involved, and then Cesaro was forced to watch as Bryan got concertoed.
I think it was perfect. Honestly, I think it was so perfect. Don't get me wrong, there's a massive, massive part of me, because this is the end of a chapter, isn't it? This is Daniel Bryan now, very, very likely. I don't think he's just going to pop up on Raw on Monday. This is him going part-time. And what a career, both on the indies and in WWE he has had. It made me quite sad, but that sort of sadness was emphasised by the brilliant TV that we saw last night. They really hammered it home, but also they made Cesaro look like a star. The next guy to challenge Reigns, he looks amazing right now, and I can't wait to see what Cesaro's gonna do next.
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping that this is a bit of a renaissance for Cesaro in the company, because they've never given him a fair shake, and he's starting to get more and more screen time. And as I said on the last Graded, we were right about turning Roman heel. We've been right about Cesaro all along. Just listen to us.
It feels like they're finally going to pull the trigger, doesn't it? I don't actually expect him to be the man who beats Roman Reigns. But if he puts in a really great showing, fingers crossed he will still be elevated by that performance. Speaking of SmackDown, just before we go, we've got a very special episode of SmackDown confirmed for next week. And Sam, the Snake, is here to tell you more.
So they've announced a special, not throwback, go back episode of WWE SmackDown next week, although the trailer does refer to it as a throwback and then a go back. It's the go back SmackDown. So it's going to be similar to Retro Raw or, the Manhattan center side of Raw 25, purely aesthetically, I hope not, in terms of the actual card structure itself. But the advert makes use of the classic SmackDown logo, the square, traditional, original SmackDown logo. My favorite SmackDown logo.
I love that.
But the weird thing is, it shows a blue ring with red, white, and blue ropes, and the old neon WWE inspired side. It's like that's all an era way before SmackDown. People just want to see the Ovaltron. They want to see a big silver ramp. That's all I want. That's all I want. Maybe you can make an allusion to the fist.
A little bit of fisting,
well,
yeah.
You could, but
it's in the warehouse. I saw it on a video the other day.
Yeah, but the original SmackDown did not have the fist,
no, you're right.
and they're using the original logo. So.
Man, you don't need to tell me. I had the play sets.
Yeah.
6-bit slot together. Those were the days. Who do you want to see on there? Who can pop up? Because I was about to say, I'd love to see, even though she wasn't early SmackDown, I was like, Vicky Guerrero, it'd be nice if we've got a Can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, we can. I'd imagine we're going to see RVD at some point. I imagine we might see.
Yeah,
Ray will be featured. Surely, it's going to be a lot of the same.
I reckon we'll come out of that being like, well, half of those weren't even on the early days of SmackDown. It's just going to be like, Boogeyman's here. It's the same old faces. Oh, look, it's Hacksaw Jim Duggan or something like that.
Is that Steve Blackman?
Hey, I'm up
with his
for
glow
that.
In the dark night stick.
That makes sense. I'm up for Steve Blackman. Do not give me that, Samuel. I will not take the Steve Blackman's name in vain. Right. We'll be back in a couple of hours for some more news. You enjoy your day. It's bank holiday weekend, so let us know what your plans in the comments below. Not because we care, but just to get the engagement up. All the best. See you in a bit.